This week on Hazardous Materials, we stand X Factor, Live Shot makes her debut, and I struggle to say Super Cyborg the Cyborg Superman. Got in one take.
Warning. The following podcast is utter nonsense and may cause agoraphobia, kleptomania, insomnia, and oppositional defiance disorder. We are required by law to provide you with this disclaimer for hazardous materials.
And welcome to another episode of Hazardous Materials, last week's comics this week. This week we are, in fact, looking at last week's comics.
And we've got a decent array this time, including probably my favorite book of the year. I don't know if anything else is going to top it in the back half. But X Factor #1 by Leah Williams and David Baldeón.
Yeah, we're bringing the good stuff up to the front of this. X Factor is easily my favorite book in several months.
It's such a good procedural mystery. But here's the thing that I really caught me craft-wise on this book.
All right.
Is the book is incredibly dense, but it's not a slog to read. It takes you a while to get through it, but it's all really engaging dialogue that moves the plot forward, develops the mystery, and gives you a ton of great character moments. And along with that, David Baldeón's cartooning is bar none. He's only gotten better since Domino and Gwenpool Strikes Again, and he just does such great little facial expression bits. I love that little bit where Dakin's messing with the clerk's necktie. Very good little bit of physical comedy.
Yeah, I was reading this, and they resolved things rather quickly when the whole thing with Aurora was starting. It's like, oh crap, we're gonna be going through several issues where they try to figure this out, and then boom, they get it done before before I even see the middle staple in the book.
Yeah,
they're done with it. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it's kind of feels like a proof of concept for the idea of this iteration of X Factor, which is they go out to investigate mutant deaths and make sure they're actually dead before they resurrect them and accidentally make a duplicate.
Yeah, this comes from the fact that North Star senses the fact that his sister is dead. So he immediately goes to Krakoa and insists, resurrect my sister. And, because North Star's got that level of insensitivity that Quicksilver tends to have, except not as intense, he doesn't realize that all the people he's just flown over are the same people that are all in line trying to get their own loved ones resurrected. So, when you have so many of this going on, the people that were doing the resurrection process is like, we have so many, we have to have a process, which means you have to give us proof of death. And all you guys are feeling, I feel for you, Barbara, but you need to go and find what's going on. And of course, that's what starts the whole idea for the investigation.
He goes to drown his sorrows at a Blob's Tiki Bar, who I'm very glad to see Leah Williams writing again after Age of X-Man, where she really did a great job with him as a character. He got his little trucker mustache back.
Yes, he does. He's back to full size again.
And so there he runs into Polaris, who has nothing better to do, and she's been no stranger to investigating things with X Factor. So she's like, yeah, we can put out feelers for a team, get a little crew together. And so they get Rachel Summers, who has the werewolf puppy that she picked up in Excalibur.
Amazing baby.
A very, very sweet boy. Love Amazing Baby. You have drunken hanger-on Dakin, Wolverine's son,
who insists on coming on to this, even though everybody keeps pushing him away. And then they explain to him, no, North Star is like, you are a bisexual disaster.
A disaster bisexual, sir,
yes.
Is the proper term.
Because Dakin will flirt with everything, ruining any situation that they're in.
And I love that he counters with, well, yeah, we got Prodigy, the respectable bisexual, to keep everything balanced. And I was really happy.
That was a great line.
Yeah, I was like, I don't remember the last time I saw Prodigy. It was probably Young Avengers when Gillen and McKelvey were on the book.
Yeah, when he was still depowered. He because the way Prodigy's powers went out, he just lost the ability to bring on new abilities. But everything he'd already gotten, he retained. So he was still an asset to whatever team he was on.
And apparently, Lee Williams did say that there's going to be a big arc showing how Prodigy has regained his powers.
Yeah.
My first assumption was like, oh, resurrection stuff. But apparently there's a bit more to it. So I'm curious to see where that goes.
So, yeah, I'm kind of wondering, because Prodigy never really died in a book, so I wonder if he went through the Crucible.
Oh, man, I don't want to see my boy have to fight Apocalypse. Oh, poor guy.
Yeah.
But rounding out this team is Johnny Come Lately, who is busy gluing googly eyes to his Crocs. My beloved iBoy. Love that kid.
iBoy's got a lot of potential.
He does, especially since they actually like gave him powers besides having eyes all over.
Speaking of powers, let's talk about Rachel Summers and her upgraded abilities.
Yeah, her like psychic chronovision.
Yeah.
Cool as hell. She can like recreate psychic impressions throughout time.
Which completely that should be no surprise. Her first appearance was doing weird crap through time with psionic abilities. And it's like, why hadn't they ever used this before?
This
is Days of Future Past stuff.
Yeah, there's some really fun mutant CSI bits where you got Prodigy running through the crime scene and like he's got his little data pad and he's writing stuff down. You got Rachel. Like, they do a cool visual where it's her flashing through, like, the psychic memories of the room and just, like, scrolling through all the guests that have walked in and out. I thought that was a really nice little visual.
Okay, so I just want to put this out. As we're describing this, I'm getting so much joy about this issue that I'm getting goosebumps. Look at that.
It's so damn good.
It is such a good comic. And you know what? Such a good comic to introduce to somebody who's not used to comics.
Yeah.
There's no word walls. You don't have to deal with that. Exposition is done very effortlessly. Someone knows how to do narrative flow. Hey, Marvel, way to go. Making DC look fucking foolish.
Yeah, it's, again, like, this is just kind of, like, proof of concept of, hey, great things happen when you expand your talent pool besides, like, the 5 dudes who've been working for you since the 90s. Hint, hint, DC.
Yeah, I heard that Snyder is moving away from the mainline titles.
Thank God. But
read the room.
Let's say back to the positive on X Factor. So they track down Aurora's car to the bottom of a lake, which they have iVoice search out.
There's like tons of cars in this lake.
It's a great little bit of Rachel being like, just look for car-shaped objects, and it cuts to like just tons of cars at the bottom of it.
And when I saw them talk about this, it's like, I mean, what's up with that? Why is that happening? And then, without even skipping a beat, like the next page, they talk about the fact that the police were trying to recover the body of the person that was involved in this, but because of the way the river is, you can't pull vehicles out. So they can only just pull bodies out. And that's the reason why there's so many cars still there, because they can't withdraw them. I was like, that's pretty cool.
And so Polaris has no such problems, though, and pulls all the cars out. They find Aurora. They drop her off with the 5, and
they had to search it out like they were in a used car lot.
Yeah.
It's like, which one? It's an SUV. Okay, that does. You gotta narrow it. I got 6 here now.
And then it leads to a really sweet scene that, again, just highlights how in touch with these characters Leah Williams is, because Polaris and Krakoa do have a fraught history, as Polaris was one of the original X-Men that was captured by Krakoa back in Giant Size X-Men #1. But they kind of make peace with all that and work together using her magnetic abilities and his natural geographic abilities to create X Factor's base, which is this gorgeous metal tower. And
the Boneyard.
It looks, it is a spectacle.
It is really great, and it looks like a segmented spine.
Yeah.
It looks like armored bone. It's very cool.
I adore this book. I can't recommend it highly enough. It is my favorite of the X line, and if you've watched this show at all, you know how much we love the X line here. And yeah, X Factor has long been my favorite mutant book, and this is a worthy addition to that legacy.
We have so many quality X books out these days.
They really are.
And this isn't just us being fanboys, because honestly, X-Men has been just mediocre crap for
it's been
a
pretty
decade.
dire.
I mean, nothing good has really come out of it, except maybe like a gemstone here or there.
I'd say I really dug Bendis and Bocello's run on Uncanny X-Men with Ryclops. That was good stuff. But yeah, on the whole, it's been, as Hickman said himself in House of X, the lost decade.
Yeah, exactly. But there's so many quality X books out there right now.
If you are an X fan, you are spoiled with riches.
All right, now we're also looking at Cable #2, which has got a cover looking like he's in with Flynn. I love this one. This one kind of got set up from Wolverine because the 5 that are one, the Stepford Cuckoos, are wanting to get a date with Cable. Well, it turns out Cable's now dating all of them.
Yes, all 5 of them. And he goes on a date one at a time while the other 4 spy on them and giggle in their room.
Yes.
Excellent. So Cable's out investigating a mutie cutie kidnapping, as the Daily Bugle calls it.
Yes, he's investigating a baby mutant has been kidnapped because this kind of thing is apparently pretty personal to him.
Yeah, as someone who, as a mutant baby who was kidnapped into the future and raised in an apocalyptic hellscape. But, yeah, his Papa Cyclops is there, too. Like, I'm looking for my kid. Where's he at? And the cops are like, well, he was just here. He's investigating that mutant kidnapping. He's like, oh.
Yeah, I think this takes place in Portland, if I'm not mistaken.
Philadelphia.
Philadelphia. Oh, it's one of those P's.
Because Cyclops goes, the cops are like, hey, go get a cheesesteak or something.
Yeah, it'd be against the law if you didn't get a cheesesteak.
And cut to my favorite page this week of Scott Summers about to devour a cheesesteak.
So the Cable's trying to talk to the cops, and he's got this whole thing. You know, I'm a representative of Krakoa, and I'm looking into this. And the cops are all looking at him, like, "Listen, you look like a kid, and honestly, my captain's only making me talk to you because he thinks there's something wrong with your eye." So what is up with that anyway? You get something going on there with your eye.
And they also, when Scott shows up, like, oh, it must be genetic or something. These muties with their weird eyes.
So
the cops do suck at this issue.
They don't suck.
So Cable has to do all the investigation, which does in fact lead him to have to tangle with some space knights.
Yes, which was incredibly okay. This is speaking from me. I just started doing HeroClix for the first time in a long time with my buddy Steve, and like the day before we did this, I was using the Space Knights for the very first time, and then I crack Cable. I was like, freaking more Space Knights! What's going on with this?
Yeah, and they tangle because Cable's got a Space Knight sword.
Yeah, because that's what you do.
Krakoa. Yeah, in issue 1, a Space Knight had fallen on Krakoa and left the sword, and Cable was like, "Oh, cool sword."
I like the fact that the cops are sweating him the entire time. And him and Esme are like making out in front of that house, and the cops just come and go, "Keep up the good work."
So it turns out the kid was kidnapped by what was the name of that mutant-hating cult? It's popped up a couple times in docs, but I don't remember.
Yeah, talk about God, I can't think of anything except the Friends of Humanity or the Crucibles.
Something like Friends
Crusaders.
of Humanity. But yeah, anyways, that's not the important part. The important part is that he throws down with some Space Knights.
He does.
And I gotta cut back to the scene with Cyclops in the sandwich, where he is interrupted by Emma Frost, Cyclops' one true love, fight me. And she's like, hey, your son's dating my daughters. And he's like, well, that's a little weird, but good for him, I guess.
Yeah, I'll talk to him.
And she says, don't let him break their hearts, except for Esme. My God, does she need it.
That's sad because it appears that she's the one out of the 5 that actually seems to care about him.
I look forward so much to this teen romance drama with these 6 crazy kids.
Is Esme the one that was killed with Magneto, or
yes, in New X-Men?
Okay, so she's the one that obviously needs an issue.
Poor girl's been heartbroken. Well, she's going to be, probably, by Cable. But yeah, and each issue has ended with a little flash forward of future Cable doing some stuff in the future, riding one of those on a robot horse.
And oh God, I swore, because when I came in and I was telling you about it, I was like, man, I really don't like the artist that they had in the second half of this book, and you told me it's the same artist.
Yeah, Phil Noto, but just doing more of his older style of inking and coloring, because he inks and colors himself in this book.
Yeah, and this seems like there was a lot of heavy inks in the second half.
Yeah, which I actually like that tonal shift of showing.
I know you do.
It's good arting. Phil Noto rocks. And I also should shout out Jerry Dugan scripting while he's also working on Marauders.
You know, speaking of heavy inks, what's the name of that artist that did New Mutants number 18? I'm just kind of curious.
Bill Sienkiewicz? Yeah.
That's how you pronounce it. I was watching a New Mutants Roundtable on Comic-Con, and he came on, and Sienkiewicz.
Sienkiewicz?
Yeah,
okay.
Which is exactly how I pronounced it way back in the day when you corrected me.
I don't think you did. I think you're making this up for clout.
Okay, I might.
But anyways.
I still wanted to be right about something, damn it. Let me have this.
Cable number 2. If Casey wants to be right about something, he can be right about that it's a goodbye.
Yes, this is very true. Cable's a goodbye. I am kind of curious to see where the Cuckoos are going to go with this one.
Fingers crossed.
As well as, of course, seeing where the Space Knights are going to go with this one. And you know what? Going out, I did notice something weird about the Space Knights. Space Knights are basically humans. But these Space Knights kept referring to them as monkeys, meat bags. I'm like, that's droid talk, sir. Are they? And just when I'm thinking, okay, maybe they changed up Space Knights and they are robots. Esme goes, no, they've got brains.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you're confusing the hell out of me.
Maybe they're more machine than man now. Got some Darth Vader going.
I don't know.
They've been hanging out in the Hasbroverse for too long.
I mean, back when Rom was Space Knight, they were mostly machine with a human or Galadorian neural net or whatever was going on. And then they went with third generation, which are basically just armored people, like with Icon. So I have no idea what the hell these things are.
I guess we'll find out.
Space Knight information.
And next up on our list is X-Men number 10 from Jonathan Hickman and Lenny Liu, who accept the Herculean task of making Vulcan interesting.
And you really have to, because, man, when Vulcan was bad, Vulcan was Superboy Prime bad.
He first shows up in Deadly Genesis as part of Xavier's secret class, who got just murked by Krakoa, except for Vulcan, who got abducted by aliens and turned into basically a Superman character.
He got the Dickhen treatment.
Yeah, he just punches a plane and kills Banshee with it.
Yeah.
But the only good thing to come out of Deadly Genesis at the time, I would say, was Darwin, beloved mutant, can't die.
But apparently
Cool
can
dude.
get killed in the first movie he's introduced in.
Still bullshit. Hate that.
I never understand that.
But anyways, so Vulcan is decided not to go on a family vacation with the rest of the summer's brood. He's busy brooding on the moon with two more members of the Deadly Genesis group,
Who are insisting that he party and drink with them until they're unconscious.
Are we drinking or are we drinking? Great line. So he's like, I'm just going to go for a walk on the moon. And what does he run into but Kotati? Because it's like, oh yeah, there was another thing on the moon.
Oh, yeah.
So he gets into a big old Kotati fight while having nightmarish flashbacks to his harrowing origin of being experimented on by aliens. Who
don't like his good side.
Yeah, they're like, oh, you're bad to the bone, dude. We're gonna give you a nice, crunchy, good candy outside, but once that cracks, buddy, you're gonna be blowing shit up.
Mm-hmm. The way we like it.
Which he does in this issue. The Kotati push him a little too far, and he just
starts barbecuing, though.
Oh yeah, burns, and they're plant people, so
they don't like that.
Even in the lack of an atmosphere in the moon, he's still able to burn the shit out of them.
Well, the blue area of the moon's filled with all that lovely, lovely oxygen.
It's true, because the Inhumans chilled there.
Yep.
But yeah, this is I don't have a ton to say about this issue, but it was fun and made me interested in Vulcan, which is a
Herculean effort, like you said.
It's I didn't think it was possible, because the best story with Vulcan before this was War of Kings back in DNA's Guardians of the Galaxy run.
Mm-hmm.
But Vulcan wasn't the interesting part of that. It was everything else going on around him that was interesting. He was just like the oh shit big weapon MacGuffin.
So now we got the three Summers brothers. We got two of them who are tormented with evil sides, and you got Scott.
And Scott's living his best life right now.
He really is.
He's
loving his life, smiling all the time, multiple women, eating what he likes.
He's got the greatest polycule. It's got him. He's got Jean. He's got Logan. He's got Emma. Like, it's a great. I love this love parallelogram.
Well, you know what? I forgot to mention way back in the Cable 2 thing. Did you notice that one of the Stepford Cuckoos has got a diamond form?
Yeah, I did see that.
I'd never know that.
I mean, it makes sense. They are clones of Emma.
Yeah, that's true.
It only follows that they would get her.
But this is the first time I've ever seen them use that.
Hey, well, also, Krakoa, they've talked about how there's some genetic tinkering going on with the eggs.
Their best versions.
Exactly. You got Sinister in there, anything's possible.
I love Sinister. God, you just make me feel so giddy every time I talk about Sinister.
Before we move on from X-Men, though, I do want to highlight this last splash page where Vulcan reads a letter from his brother being like, wish you came and hang out with us, bro, but I get it. With the Summers family going on a little beach vacation. Very sweet and fun.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff. Good
taking
stuff
the kids.
all around.
They're taking
exactly.
the kids.
They're adult children who are younger than they were before, but still they're adult children.
Yeah.
It's good times.
And now we're going to kind of look at Empyre number 3. Now, we put some real praise on Empyre number 1 because that's how you start a party. Empyre number 3 is how you end the party quickly.
Yeah, so like you said, we've been enjoying Empyre, the Ewing Slot Shitty big event epic. Mm-hmm. And one of the things I really liked about it is like, wow, this is a good forward-moving event comic. You don't see that too often.
All right.
Well, here's why. Because issue number 3 is basically an extended advertisement for all the Empyre tie-ins. You've got an opening page that refers you to the events of Captain Marvel number 18. You've got, a weird 2 to 3 page long sequence of Tony Stark talking to Reed Richards about what's going on in Captain America Empire, in Thor Empire, in Avengers Empire. You get a cut to what was going to be the Black Panther and the Ages of Wakanda issue, which is a really, man, it felt super, that sequence particularly like screamed laziness to me.
Yeah.
Because it's just the bit from Infinity War where the Outriders are trying to go through the bubble, but now it's plant people and the Thing is there. And don't get me wrong, I believe every story is improved by the inclusion of the Thing, but like it just felt like a lazy shout out. And it doesn't feel like a reference. It just felt like wholesale copying and pasting.
Yeah, I mean, I get that Marvel's trying to recoup their losses, and maybe that's not exactly what they're trying to do here, but when it comes to summer events, you got to get paid. This is their December. This is their Christmas. People spend more on comic books during the summer months than any other time, and that's the reason why there's so many events going on. This book is basically trying to get you buy this, buy that, buy this, buy that. But when it really comes down to Marvel event books, you can largely ignore the satellite books,
no kidding,
and just keep to the core.
And I'm still mad that most of the times I was really excited for, see Black Panther and the Age of Wakanda and Squadron Supreme, got the can while I flipped through Captain America, and that was some pretty boring, jingoistic nonsense. There was Thor Empire, nothing much happened there. Like, you read Avengers Empire and said that was a big nothing.
That was a big snoozeville, and I really wanted to read strangely enough, I really wanted to read Strike Force, because that's where Spider-Woman is in this, and as you can see, I like me some Spider-Woman. That's gone.
Yeah,
I really wanted to read Squadron Supreme because I've always been a Squadron Supreme.
And this one's gonna be written by Mark Waid. I know, man. I don't understand these calls. Very strange. But the issue does end with a couple big revelations. So Mantis rolls up, being Koi's mom, and she's like, "Yeah, Swordsman, his dad is really getting in his head with this world domination thing."
She looks good.
Yeah, she looks much more Celestial Madonna than she has in her past few appearances in Guardians of the years.
Yeah.
Then Claret is like, "So when we gonna kill that sun?" And everyone's like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, the only way to get rid of the Kotati infection is by blowing up a sun and killing up the solar system. Thought you guys knew that."
Which blows my mind, because didn't we learn our lesson from Dark Phoenix? Didn't we all learn the lesson? You don't blow up suns.
Claret said, "Fuck those broccoli people."
Oh, those poor broccoli people.
He is the Bizarro Jim Shooter. But
oh god, that's a low blow.
So anyways, what's his name? General Glory or whatever, the Kree dude is like, "Hey, Hammer Lady, you gave your hammer to Captain Marvel."
Captain Glory.
Captain Glory, you
he's got a proper superhero name.
Yeah, not as good as a Major Glory from the JLI, but still pretty cool. But he's like, "Hey, Hammer Lady, you smell like Skrull. What's up with that?" And she's like, "It's me, the Skrull Queen, the grandma of Teddy, and I'm manipulating him to be a bad man and pull up this solar system," which felt, and again, it like after we've had such a good first 2 issues, this felt very like mustache twirly. It felt like a hat on hat.
Oh, the villain has got 2 hats.
I did
2 stovepops.
I did really like, and she might be an established character, and I'm just not familiar with her. But Murgun, the half Kree, half Skrull witch, very good, quality. Love me a direct Knights of the Round Table reference, but
and that pretty much is. I thought that was, when you told me that, I was like, oh,
it's a little on the nose,
really on the nose.
Hey, it's a book with a space sword. So
it does have a space sword. We are running into our fair share of swords this week.
It's true. There's that. There's Cable with his space sword. There's 10 of Swords, the upcoming X event.
I really think that the Space Knight sword and this Skrull sword are going to be involved in that.
You've heard it here first, folks. It's the Summer of Swords.
It is. And just a quick correction, it's Major Victory.
Major Victory.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, anyways.
All right, now we're going to talk a little bit about Suicide Squad number 7, which, decent book, right to the point, very simple story.
Yeah, big contrast, because this is the second book I read this week after X Factor number 1. And after how dense X Factor number 1 was, it really made me notice how kind of breezy Suicide Squad number 7 was. It's a very quick, fast-paced, action-filled issue. Tom Taylor is always scripting with Daniel Empyre on art, who not the normal Bruno Redondo, but still very good. With
very good. I liked it.
Yeah, pretty comparable style. This one, it's about after last issue, Deadshot's free to go from Suicide Squad, so he goes back home. But it's not that simple.
No, he reconnects with his daughter after getting the official let go. But just as soon as he shows up, the feds show up because he's wanted for some reason.
Yep. So they screwed him over. Or our boy Ted Cord, who is still in some deep machinations, unleashes.
I still have an idea what's going on with that.
I gotta know. Like, I'm so curious how Tom Taylor's gonna pull this off because I love my boy Ted.
And you're messing with it.
Exactly. Like, he's not normally a dark character. It's like when they made Maxwell Lord evil. That wound up working pretty well, but
I still had trouble with that too.
Yeah, but
only because at the time that they made Max Lord evil and Wonder Woman killed him, they also released that weird JLI book.
Yeah, the formerly known as the Justice League.
Yes.
So it kind of had
What
crossed wires.
a strange book. Like, you've got 3 people in this book. They're dead from horrible situations. You had Sue, you had Elongated Man, and Maxwell were all alive during this. Sue died from a fire. Elongated Man died trying to find out about her death. I forgot how he checked out. And of course, Maxwell had his head done clockwise by a Wonder Woman.
But to be fair, though, like, it was clearly DeMatteis and Giffen and Maguire just given free reign to do a sequel to JLI and not care about what horrible things have been done to their characters in their absence.
And I like that.
Me too. But anyways, so Deadshot is reconnecting with his daughter, who...
And I know why you're laughing. You're laughing at Live Shot.
Yes. Who has created the superhero identity Live Shot for herself. She's taken some archery, and she's
really some good.
She has her dad's aim. But it's a really fun, like... It reminds me a lot of Honey Badger in a lot of ways. Another Tom Taylor creation.
Oh, God. I really wish that Honey Badger would come back being Honey Badger.
Yeah. It feels like Tom Taylor's special talent is creating fun kid-girl sidekicks for people. For ruthless killers, and she even has her own sidekick. She's got a little dog who also has a little visor. It's really cute.
He writes really well.
Yeah,
for kid sidekicks,
exactly,
which is hard to do.
Which is also really impressive given how dark his books tend to go.
Yeah,
there's always like a nice little bright spot in there though. So the feds show up. Deadshot's like, "Hey, you don't have to rough me up in front of my family. Just take me in." But then they get a little trigger happy. Live Shot takes a shot at him and gets him right in the knee. A very good little shot there. And so Floyd fights his way out and is like,
I can't kill these guys because my kids watch. And so wound.
The revolutionaries come to pick him up, and he's like, all right, let's go end the Suicide Squad. So
yeah, and that's the end of the book.
Yeah, very quick, very good though.
What they firmly establish is the fact that Deadshot's daughter loves him.
Yes.
And that's a big deal because the very beginning of this book, he's got that idea. It's like, I know you don't want me here. I just want to help out. And then just boom out the gate, Daddy. And I'm like, good. He needs something good in his life.
The other thing I really appreciate is this is the first time that Deadshot's daughter's ever felt like a character instead of just being a prop to give Deadshot angst.
Yeah, because he usually wrote her as being like 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah, that was like 15. I think she was introduced like 15 years ago in the Christus Gage miniseries from like 2005.
Or that one shot that he did where he was wearing a jacket on the cover.
Yeah, exactly. That's the exact series.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it was the second Deadshot miniseries, and I never really liked that because it felt like trying to make a little too cliche action star.
Yeah, and the reason I'd been following that, I've been following Deadshot ever since, obviously, Secret Six, which is where he truly belongs. Get me my Gail Simone, get me my Secret Six, put Deadshot in there, and you'll find me a happy camper. But so I've been following Deadshot. Whenever the Secret Six would end or something like that, and they put Deadshot in a miniseries or something like that, I'm usually following. And that's how I picked up on the family storyline, like you were talking about. I like that this whole series is a step in the right direction because New 52 Deadshot really kind of broke my heart.
They doubled down on making him a boring action hero. And it's like, it's not what I want.
He was just a blonde kid that could shoot real well. There was no darkness to him. There's no serious level cynicism in him.
Like, because you can write Deadshot there's two pretty good schools of Deadshot. There's the Ostrander, very dark, nihilistic, like has a death wish, which I love that explanation for his bright shiny costume. He's like, yeah, I'm trying to get hit. Like, I wear chrome and bright red. And
he doesn't really even say it unless somebody points it out.
Exactly.
It's like, why do you act like this? And I'm like, I just don't care.
Like, one of my favorite moments from Ostrander's run is where he has to assassinate a presidential candidate, and Waller's like, get in, get out, and be done. And he just goes ahead and does it and waits for the feds to show up and just riddle him with bullets. And Waller just like, nah, you don't get to get out that easy, Lawton. Like, really. Ostrander's run on Suicide Squad from the 80s, one of my favorite comics of all time. Highly recommend tracking it down.
Yeah, and of course, my personal love, Gail Simone, Deadshot.
Who is still a very dark cynic, but it's like a black comedy version.
Yeah, a black comedy who is open to the bromance, but will kill somebody if he's ordered to do so. Like we did on that Amazonian island.
Yeah, he's a very pragmatic character.
Yeah, because the person that was paying him said, that woman's getting away, kill her. And everybody else is like debating it. And Deadshot's like, all right.
And I love that bit where someone calls us like, Deadshot, they were unarmed. And it's like, what? They were going to kill us. No, they weren't. Yeah, his tension with Catman is all-time great. One of the greatest male ships out there.
And we still have not seen Catman come back since Rebirth.
Yeah, now that I think about it, like the last I saw him was Gail Simone's Last Return of Secret Six, which I was very shaky on at first, but turned out to be very good.
I was the same way. I was okay because they had brought Ragman and Scandal Savage as extra characters into the book. I'm like, okay, Gail, she wants her characters. It's clear that she's got a mandate of some sort that she has to include all these other whatevers. But she wants her core.
And wound up being one of my favorite Elongated Man stories ever.
Yeah, that was a strange take on Elongated Man.
But it was really cool.
Yeah,
it
kind
really
of like a detective noir version.
Yeah, I can't remember what his name was, but it was like a mobster style name, like very noir. But man, we got off track. But anyways,
we knew we were going to a little bit.
Because we do love Suicide Squad.
We do like Suicide Squad.
Always pick it up. Always worth a read. So next up on our list is a book I chose to skip because last time we've covered it didn't really do much for me. Casey, I'm going to let you cover Legion Superheroes this week by Brian Michael Bendis, Ryan Sook, and I believe Stephen Byrne from Wonder Twins doing art duties as well.
Okay, so this book actually felt a lot like the 80s Legion Superheroes. Let's get the obvious fact out that I'm still extremely disappointed. I have no idea what the hell Gold Lantern is. He's in 3 scenes. He never speaks. He just sits back there. It doesn't even look like he even has like a proper mask on. They just didn't care, which is hilarious because there is actually an alternate cover for Legion 7 of Gold Lantern using gold constructs as armor. It looks great, and it makes me think, oh, hey, I'm going to learn more about this character. No.
Not today.
That's not happening. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get a book full of dialogue about Cosmic Boy talking to the the International House of Planets about trying to fix the problem with Rimbor. Rimbor is the home planet to Ultra Boy, and apparently Ultra Boy's father is the leader of this kind of tribalistic planet that is trying to secede from IHOP. So that's what's going on. And during that whole thing, the Legion at large doesn't like the way that Cosmic Boy did it. Cosmic Boy is bitching and complaining because he feels like Brainiac 5 is always stepping on his toes and talking like he's a leader. Saturn Girl's like, well, he is the smartest person in the room, and we knew that coming in, so he's going to talk like that because he's smarter than us. That's just the way it is. We find out that Saturn Girl doesn't buy into the whole Xavier school of thought. She will get into your brain without your consent whenever she pleases, and completely validates it. It's like, you knew what you were doing when you were talking to me. It's always going to be an open book. So this little cloud of indecision makes Cosmic Boy look bad. Ultra Boy gets voted in, and just as he's being voted into the leadership of the Legion, the Ultra Boy's father, the leader of the planet of Rimbor, kicks in a door and goes, you're part of the IHOP, and therefore I'm at war with you now. And okay, so the Legion is now going to fight Ultra Boy's dad, whatever.
Well, that sounds completely uninteresting.
It was.
But that said, I'm pretty hyped for the next issue of Legion because it's a jam issue where we get like little 1 or 2 page stories focusing on different Legionnaires. So you might finally get your Gold Lantern.
Finally.
Stuff. But yeah, tons of great artists are going to be working on it, including my boy Mike Allred. Very hyped for that.
No, let me go on to say that the art on this book is outstanding.
Yeah, Ryan, I'm very disappointed that Ryan Suk finally comes back to do interiors on a regular basis, and it's on Legion.
I still am optimistic. I loved Legion as a child. I loved Retro Legion because I used to pick up the Adventure Comics digest that would reprint Legion stories from the 60s, and I read a lot of 60s Legion. And then, of course, I read 80s Legion, being an 80s kid. So I was part of the... I saw the Dark Side storyline.
Oh, great!
That was so great during Legion. And I was also akin to all the various Legion reboots. Okay, is this going to be Legion? Okay, no. Is this going to be Legion? No. Is this going to be Legion? No. Oh, by the way, now we're going to make a book called the Legion of Three Superheroes. Or,
Legion of Three Worlds?
Yes, Three Worlds, which is basically 3 groups of Legion. It's like, okay, we're going to merge them all together. Guess what? That's gone. That's what we've got now.
New 52 came back in 2 years.
Yeah.
But I read a really fun Matt Fraction interview earlier this week where he talks about how Legion of Superheroes actively punishes anyone who tries to read it. It's completely impenetrable to all of those unfortunate enough to not have been born with a copy of Adventure Comics 247.
And I think that maybe that's where I was lucky, because I really got a chance to be exposed to the really great eras of Legion when we're introduced to awesome characters like Wildfire, when you find out that Light Lass used to be Lightning Lass, but then she got her powers messed with, when Triplet Girl became Duo Damsel, when one of her duplicates got killed off by Computo, when all these great stories of these deceased legions like Invisible Kid and Feral Lad.
You're talking nonsense, Casey. It's Moonman speak.
This is great stuff. This was such great stuff. And it pains me that it's not part and parcel with at any level of continuity.
One of these days, whenever I get through my gigantic pile of to-read stuff, which recently got a huge explosion because I bought a pretty sizable chunk of books recently that I don't have much buyer's remorse, but I am a little bit like, damn, was that the best use of my money in these times? But whenever I have a nice clean slate of my books out of the way, I really want to try to dive into Legion, because I feel like something...
Legion. Get 80s Legion.
It feels like something you got to commit to, you know?
Well, you do, but you know what? 80s Legion was quality stuff. It really was.
The one that really appeals to me is the Mark Waid post-Zero Hour one from the 90s, because you also had Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning doing the Legion book alongside that. Gail Simone did a couple of fill-in issues on that. And there's a lot of creators I really like. Mike Waringo does a lot of the art for some of those. So, and I think it's called Three Boot is the era.
Yeah.
But
do you know that Legion of Superheroes is actually where Karate Kid came from?
Yeah. There's a couple Legionnaires I do like. I like Karate Kid. I love Matter Eater Lad. I like Starboy quite a bit. I like XS.
I was all about even the romantic liaisons when we had Timberwolf and Ultra Boy were all in love with Shadowlass. You had Karate Kid, who was involved with Princess Projectra, who is like royalty in this weird magic world. And so many cool things. Wildfire and Dawnstar.
Have you ever seen Jim Shooter's character descriptions for the Legion? Because Jim Shooter, like, his big thing was he started writing Legion superheroes when he was 14 years old.
Yeah, he was a kid.
But years on, he and another person who worked on it, I can't remember who they were, but the other person did these very detailed, like, psychological profiles of all the Legionnaires. Jim Shooter had their sexual preferences and who they've hooked up with, and in pretty surprisingly graphic detail.
Element Lad, so gay.
It was, yeah, I was a little shocked by it. I was like, oh, well, Jimmy Shoots here. Avengers 200 in it again, are we?
Yeah, well, I don't know if that's a low blow. I mean, he's just talking about, like, you know, people and characters. We're not talking about, you know, completely giving a green light to
some of the entries get a little dark.
I can understand that, but Avengers 200 is completely inexcusable.
It's the low bar. But, you know,
it's the identity crisis for Marvel.
Jimmy Shoots brings it on himself.
He does. You know what? He was not well liked by his colleagues, and you see it sometimes when you see some of the decisions he made. Although some of the things he had to make the hard decision. He made the hard decision to kill off Jean Grey in X-Men 137.
I don't think that was the hard decision. I think that was the easy decision. You know.
Well, I mean, they wanted to keep the character.
Yeah.
But then Jim Shooter's like, no, you killed a planet. You have to answer for that.
No one cares about the broccoli people, Jim.
It just goes to show you if you screw up on that level, you have to pay for it.
Man, I can't believe we've gotten into this.
I know we got in this big long discussion just talking about Legion 7,
Legion's a superhero,
which we
Cursed.
swore we were only going to spend 2 minutes
we're like,
about.
we'll do a little bit on Legion, but damn it, Legion is just too damn complicated.
It is too complicated, and I've got so much more to talk about. I feel like we should do like an episode just on retro Legion,
All
like
right.
when it was good.
I'll be sure to bring like a big wide brimmed hat so I can just one of those numbers. Take a little nap.
One of these days, man, I'm gonna bring I'm gonna find some trade paperbacks that focus on 80s Legion, and we're gonna get educated, you and I.
I do like Keith Giffen and Colleen Duran.
There you go. I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna get the Dark Side episodes too.
I do want to read the Great Darkness Saga. I've heard nothing but good things about that.
So good, so good. Now we're gonna talk about the DC Cybernetic Summer Special.
Yes, DC does these quarterly books that are always a bunch of fun. A lot of good anthology stories. Usually it comes on like Valentine's Day, the summer, Halloween, and Christmas. So this year it's mostly robot themed. They kind of fudge with that theme a little bit a couple times. Like the Midnighter and Apollo story, they get around it by being like, well, Midnighter's got a computer brain, kind of robot.
Or the fact that the brain
the
is
brain's
in that
in there.
canister.
He's a brain in a robot. It kind of counts, I guess.
Kind of, yeah.
But anyways, so I'm just gonna speed through the my 4 favorite stories from this.
All right.
So, in order of appearance, there's the Blue Beetle and Booster Gold story by Heath Corson and Scott Koblish, where the Blue and Gold duo hit up the beach, but it finds it's too crowded, so they plan, we'll just go back in time to last year when it was empty. But wait, we were there, so we'll bump into each other. Nah, man, we'll just go back one day further in the past. And it turns out 4 other boosters and beetles from down the timeline had the same idea, so we get a 6 Blue and Gold pileup.
So what do?
They do beach volleyball. It's great. And they all team up to fight King Shark and pose for pictures after. It's a very fun little story.
That's how I like my Ted Cord.
Exactly. I love seeing Blue and Gold back together. There's a really fun bit where further down the timeline, the Blue and Gold look like the mutants from Dark Knight Returns. They got mohawks and Cyclops visors.
Oh, God.
Very fun. After that, you've got probably my favorite story of the bunch, a Midnighter and Apollo story by Steve Orlando and Paul Pelletier.
I read this one.
Yes, and I love Steve Orlando's Midnighter run. That is, I think, one of the most unsung but excellent books of the last few years.
And DC doesn't really do a lot with these 2 characters these days.
They really should, though, because they rule.
Yeah.
They are a great, loving pair. Midnighter's got his taste for hyperviolence. Apollo's like a more badass gay Superman.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of great little innuendos thrown in this issue. My favorite one probably being Midnighter saying, "Oh, Apollo, you know I always let you go first." that got a good hoop and a holler from me at home. And anyways,
so they go off against also another famously gay duo here in the DC universe,
Yes.
which is Monsignor Mola and the Brain.
love those two. Actually, DC's first gay couple.
Yeah.
Which raised some questions of why the first gay couple is a brain and a jar and a gorilla, but it was the
And looking
80s.
at them, you know that this has got Doom Patrol all over it.
Yes. It's
Yeah.
so great. So basically, Monsieur Mallah is trying to free his beloved brain, who is in a prison cell that's disguised as a cruise ship. And
Argus has got him. So
Yeah.
it's not really jail. It's,
it's
the equivalent, I guess, of Project Pegasus if it was privately owned.
yeah, not great. Even less ethical prison.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're like doing science shit out of the brain, and the brain is like, ho ho ho, Apollo, what did you deny me and Monsieur Malah's love?
Yeah, right?
And so like they wind up getting Mala a cell in there next to him. So
This is about as close as they're going to get.
exactly, and they compromise, and Apollo and Midnighter then hit the beach, and the brain calls them the world's finest couple, and that made my heart sing. Love that.
And they had a famously themed Speedos.
Yes, so good. I love Apollo Midnighter. I love that Steve Orlando got to get one last hurrah on those characters before he makes the jump to Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
So excited to see what he's got next under his belt. And after that, there is a Robot Man story, which I didn't know was going to be in this.
Big surprise for you. You get a Robot Man. You go read.
Yeah. In a Cybernetic special, I probably could have guessed there'd be a Robot Man story, considering he's on the cover. But yeah, by Max Bemis, who's a writer I really enjoy, and singer of Say Anything. Great band.
I don't know anything about that.
But Max Bemis working with Greg Smallwood, one of my favorite artists of the last few years. He did Jeff Lemire's Moon Knight run a couple of years back.
Oh, okay.
And also did Vampironica, a very fun little book.
I remember that.
Yeah, it was Veronica as a vampire. Exactly what it said on the tin. But anyways, here, Robot Man tries to hang out with one of his human friends, but finds that the experience just isn't quite there. And so his human buddy's like, well, let's do robot things together. And so they try doing things like going to a hologram Beatles concert, but you have to be able to stream it to your brain. And so it's just a bunch of robots hanging out in an empty stage while Robot Man's going, oh, this is so good. Are you hearing this? He's like, no, I don't have Wi-Fi. He's
yeah.
like, I'll get you the playlist later, dude. They go hang gliding with the Metalman, which is much scarier when you're a fleshy man and not a brain in a robot suit.
The second appearance of the Metalman in this book.
Yes, because they also had a team up with Wonder Woman, which I was a little cooler on, but it had some nice Nicola Scott art.
Where you find out that Wonder Woman is a fan of Platinum.
Yeah, which I thought was pretty cool.
That's
I like seeing
cool.
Platinum team up with Wonder Woman. But yeah, eventually they do compromise on something they can both enjoy: reading comic books. Very sweet.
We like reading comic books.
We do. And most sinister, though, there is a copy of Ultra Comics in the store, and I was like, oh no. Ultra Comics is the gateway for the Gentry in Multiversity and how they infect universes.
Oh.
One of the best single issues of the past decade. Highly recommend checking out all of Multiversity, but if you can get your hands on a copy of Ultra Comics, oh boy, it is a weird, trippy nightmare of a book.
Yeah, this is after you've gotten all of the Legion of the Superheroes in the 80s run trade paperback, so you should be buying right now off of Amazon.
Just Multiversity is only 14 issues. You can read it first. But yeah, a really fun little sweet Robot Man story, and Doom Patrol is on DC Universe and HBO Max right now, so go watch it.
Yeah, with its second season, an unlikely second season renewal of such an odd show.
I'm praying they get a third. Like they're throwing so many Rachel Pollack concepts in there right now, and I'm very happy about. But like, I want season 3, because I felt like in season 1 even they were like, we got to throw all this Gmo stuff on the wall. We got to get it all out because I don't know if we're gonna have season 2.
Well, yeah, I mean, look what DC did to Swamp Thing.
Yeah, which was disappointing. I loved the Swamp Thing show, but I just hate that it got cut short.
Well, internal politics sank that show, right?
Yeah, it's complicated. Money, it all comes down to money.
It had nothing to do with its quality.
Sunk before it started airing, which was frustrating. But the last story in the book is a very fun, silly romp. A team up between Cyborg and Superman against Cyborg Superman, Hank Henshaw. And a final add to the list, the Super Cyborg Superman. I had to count it on my hand to make sure I said it right.
This is something. This is a showdown you really can't say quickly.
Yes. He claims to come from a universe of triple mashups, so he's a mashup of Cyborg, Superman, and Cyborg Superman. And he's like, Clark Kent is the dominant mind of the bunch because Cyborg's too sad and Cyborg Superman's too evil. And Cyborg's like, that kind of sucks, man. And they're like, what did you say your name was? He's like, the Cyborg Superman, or the Super Cyborg Superman. And he pulls up his Wikipedia page, and Cyborg calls him out by saying that you pulled up a web page for an alternate universe. It's an offline version, and it says your abbreviated name is Sucks.
That's unfortunate.
So it turns out it was actually a clever ruse by Batman to keep Cyborg Superman distracted so Superman could clock him good. But then they get a distress call from the actual Super Cyborg Superman.
There's a duplicate?
Yes. And this was a fun... Stuart Moore, who's working on one of the books over at... Oh my god. On Ahoy Comics. He's doing Captain Ginger, the space cat comic. And with art by Cully Hamner, who is near and dear to my heart for doing the Jaime Reyes Blue Beetle design.
When you say Captain Ginger, the first thing I'm thinking of is a book that I read as a kid called Captain Furface.
It sounds very similar.
It does.
It's an Ahoy Comics book about cats in space.
That's what Captain Furface
Oh,
was.
maybe it's a riff on that, I guess.
Maybe.
But yeah, the Super Cyborg Superman cracked me up. It's such a fun tongue twister. And Cully Hamner's art is so kinetic and fun that it's an infectious read.
So, decent book.
Yes, some like all anthologies, it's a little hit or miss.
Yeah.
But I think the hit stories are good enough to make it worth the $10 price tag.
I like the Apollo Moonlighter thing, and while I didn't really get a chance to really read it, it seemed like the Wonder Woman and the Metal Men thing was a nice story.
It was nice. My bigger issue, there's a panel where Wonder Woman says it looks like just like a monster from an anime I watch, and I was like, I ain't got time to watch anime.
No, she ain't got time for that.
It seemed a little out of character, but it was nice seeing her team up with Platinum, and I like seeing the Metal Men get a prominent.
Yeah, I like seeing like a single character in a Metal Man getting props.
Yeah,
There's Platinum on her own,
good
without
for her.
having iron, gold, mercury, and tin. I know my Metal Men.
We'll get Copper back someday.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Maybe Copper's in that Dan DiDio one that's going right now that I'm not reading.
I forget Copper. Copper's one with a long nose.
Yes.
Yeah, but Mercury's got the long
Yeah,
nose.
you made me think Mercury at first, but no, I think
Yeah.
Copper also had a long nose.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's gonna wrap it up for this week.
Indeed. So, if you like what you hear, or you like what you're seeing, subscribe, hit that bell. Got a new episode every week. We post every Tuesday or Wednesday, mostly Tuesday. We got a Patreon where our super secret episode 5 has been languishing. If you want to check that out, and hey, if you want to support us, I mean, we definitely could use a little bit of that little cheddar. Keep the camera rolling. Social media links are down below, including my own personal one, facebook.com/mycomicbookfacts, where I introduce comic ideas to the common non-comic reader. And check us out next week.